everybody, welcome back to Be Yourself Quilting. I want to talk to y'all today about a little project, but I'm going to show you how to do this without a pattern, so save you some money and still have a lot of fun, and it'll give you some ideas of how to do other things without pattern of your own, just ideas that come to you. It's going to be a raw edge applique pattern, or project I should say. I'm just making a little wall hanger for the Easter spring season. It incorporates some of the crazy quilt block ideas that we had made in this video here. So if you don't know how to do this, you can go back and watch that video and you can see how to make these crazy quilt blocks, and then you can incorporate them into other things using the crazy quilt blocks to make the pot holders and all. We also did one that was worked with a bee panel last week. So this week we're going to use up a little bit more of our scrap. Everything in this is scrap or stuff I had in my stash. I did not buy anything at all to make this spring project. Okay guys, so let's have a look. I have some Easter eggs. So this, and this were all made using scraps from the Crazy Quilt projects, or just embroidery in them. These do not. Okay, this does. It just depended on which piece of scrap that I actually decided to use, whether it had embroidery on it or not. Everything else is just very simple. So I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with an app called Pixabay. You can pull it up on your computer. You can pull it up on your iPad, your phone, whatever. So I'm going to do that now. Give me just a second to get it brought up. Okay, guys, so this is Pixabay. You can log in. You don't have to log in. What I like about Pixabay, there are other apps out there that you can use like this, but I like Pixabay because you can look at images such as photos. It breaks it down. Photos, vector graphics, or illustrations. They even have other things. I've never really looked at the other things. So you can go to illustrations or vector graphics and you can get yourself a good line drawing of what you're looking for. This is all free. There's no fee to use this. There's no copyright on this. So if you use it, you don't have to worry somebody's going to come snatch your quilt off the wall at the quilt shop or the quilt store, the quilt whatever, and say, hey, that looks like my bunny ears there, so therefore you cannot use that. This is not that. So this is something you have a right to use. You can leave a tip if you would like to do that. You don't have to, but you can. And if you use one particular artist a lot, maybe that would be a good idea. But we're just going to look at it in the general sense of the word. Okay, so I'm going to type in here Easter egg. And now it's going to give me images of Easter eggs, okay? And there's all kind here. I want to go to my images and I want to look at vector graphic. So this is all kind of Easter eggs. I can snatch any of these Easter eggs and use them. If you didn't want to do the crazy quilt type of egg, then you could easily just draw a regular egg, pick you out a beautiful piece of fabric. Right now there's beautiful Easter fabric out there, or some kind of spring stripe that you could use. I didn't do that because I didn't want to buy anything, and I didn't really have anything that kind of met those parameters. All right, so let's try something else. Let's type in bunny ears. Okay, we want to go back to, let's go to illustrations this time. Okay, so here you go. See, those are similar to the ones I use. Now, I'll be honest, the ears I used came off of Canva. So if you have Canva, go on there. You can do the same thing with their stuff. But here's your all kind of bunny ears. And you can just snatch those bunny ears off there and print them the size you want them to be. And take it from there. I'm going to show you how to take it from there. So bunny ears, Easter eggs. What else do we have? Tulips. Okay, the tulips was cute. All I did was draw an oval. That's it. I just drawed an oval, and I'll show you how to do it. So I'm just giving you a perimeter of a place where you can go and pull up all kind of artwork that you can use in your quilts or art projects or whatever, where it is free. If you just want to look for, say, such as maybe you do want to look at funny things. Maybe you're an artist and you like to paint. Here you go. You can use any of these for inspiration. Now, I would not print these as something that was mine, but if you want to be inspired to paint this bunny here, then do it. Pull it up. He's cutie pie. Look at him with the gray, and you can pull him up and you can use him for inspiration for your paintings or your quilts or whatever. Okay, so enough on that for right now. Let's get back to the quilt. So what I did was, for the basket, let's start there. I used a plate my dinner plate. I measured it. It's an 11-inch plate, okay? And I went a little over halfway with the plate. And all I did was take some Heat and Bond light. Heat and Bond light. Okay, move that out the way. On the paper side, not this rough, kind of shiny side. You want to turn it over on the paper side. Okay, guys, this is where you want to be. I'm going to move this out for just a moment. And I just took my plate a little over halfway. I don't know if y'all can see that. And I got me a pencil. So here's the thing. If you use a fabric eraser marker, if you hit this with it before you're ready to get rid of the line, you've lost your line. Okay. So all I did was did that. That's it. I got the fabric that I used, which was, look, it looks kind of like sticks or something. And I put the wrong side of this to the shiny side of the Heat and Bond. Their name is on the side where you would draw and heat set from. If you don't see the name written clearly, I would say you're on the wrong side. Don't put your iron down. And I just heat set that on. Then I took that piece and I just started cutting at it to make myself a shape. Now, I'm not going to use this particular fabric again. I just wanted to show you what I had. I am going to show you a different one. Let me go ahead and grab that. So I'm going to use this fabric. I never knew what I was going to use it for. I am going to take this and I'm going to use this piece of fabric this time. And I'm going to make it like a glass bowl this time, for an example, rather than a basket. Okay, because to be honest, all my Easter egg stuff is in bowls. One was my father-in-law's mother, so my husband's grandmother. One was her bowl. He had gave me that many years ago. And then the other one was my mother's mother. And I have both of these bowls. So I use those to put my Easter eggs in. We're just going to iron this to the back side. This one I'm going to make a little smaller. We're going to see that in just a moment, because I want this one to fit on a pillow rather than a wall hanging. And that's the thing. If you do your own pattern, you can make your own adjustments and you can make it the size you want it to be. Okay, we're going to come back to this in a moment. I did some eggs. I just went on there and printed some different size eggs. I used the school stick glue and I just stick glued it to a little piece of, it's not really cardboard. I'll tell you what it is. It's those backers that kids buy to put with their comic books to keep them strong. I had bought some of those to do some stuff with my fabric, and I have too much fabric. It took up too much space, so I didn't end up using them. So I have a ton of these. So they make great template, okay? Because it's just thick enough where you don't have to worry about it bending, but it's not too thick that you can't store it easily. I just drew several different sizes. So if we look at this pattern here, okay, I have one of the big eggs. I have 1, 2 of this size egg. And then I have, okay, these were this size, but I trimmed them down a little bit. But I used this one for these eggs, okay? I also took an oval. It was just a complete oval. And I just took that oval and I kind of made a little teardrop out of it. Now, if you wanted a true tulip pattern, you can look on Pixabay. They got a lot of tulip pieces. So all I did was take my oval. I cut a piece out of it. It was a little bigger. It was more like this is a whole oval. And then I just loosely trimmed this down and just trimmed this up a little bit. And I used this on one side, and then I flipped it for the other side. And then I took this piece and I did it on one side and the other. The reason mine look a little different at the top is once I got them all put together using the Teflon sheet, then I lifted them up as a whole piece and I just trimmed the tops. a little bit to give it a little character and variety. As far as these, I just cut some long strips. I don't know, they were about that long on a curve, maybe 13, 14 inches. Some of them I trimmed off, some of them I tucked under. So we're going to do all that together in just a moment. I just wanted to give you an idea of what we're looking at. I haven't started sewing it. The bunny ears, like I said, were on Canva, but you could get something so similar on Pixabay. It doesn't have to be exactly like mine. Remember, we're being ourselves. All right, guys. So that is the basis for this. I'm back. So to show you what it is, I left the plate like we had it. I used my smallest egg, and these may be too big. I don't know, so I may have to trim them down, but I won't worry about trimming anything down until after I go ahead and make them. Then I can decide. So I knew my tulip was going to be way too large. So instead of um, cutting this pattern down, I like the size of that one, I'm going to make another one. So this is I couldn't find anything oval, and I didn't feel like going to the printer. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this protractor, go around the edge, line it up on the other side so it's somewhat even. And I know this is making a circle, not a oval, but we're going to work on that. I want people to understand that you don't just have to have everything just perfect all the time in order to be creative, okay? So these are paper scissors. I know they may not look like it, but they are. Okay, we're going to get this. This is that cardboard stuff I was telling you about. So all I'm going to do is I am going to take this. First, I'm going to cut it out round, okay? Because that'll give me a better idea of what I got. Now remember, I only need half of this, okay? I don't need the whole thing because I can flip it for a mirror image. So I'm just going to go ahead right now, and I'm just going to kind of curve it in like a teardrop, okay? And yes, that's pointy, so we're going to work on that. Okay, so then I know this is huge. I mean, compared to this one, it's huge. So I'm just going to start trimming. I'm going to go along here, and I'm going to keep the same shape. I'm just going to start shaving it all the way around. And I'm going to really come in right here, much narrower. I need to go get a different pair of scissors. Oh, I got some right here. Those are too big. I can't get that curve right. Okay, so then I cut that down and I have this. Okay, so this is much smaller, which is what we need. I'm going to take that and I'm going to smooth that out a little bit. Come up here, and I'm just kind of looking at the one I got. Okay. And I just want it to be a little narrower at the top, but not the bottom. Okay. So that is a much better shape for me. Now I'm going to take the other side, and I just want a little wedge piece. So I'm just going to kind of cut me out a wedge here. I'm not going to throw that away because if I mess it up, I still got enough of that left. And I'm going to just kind of go up a little bit, give it a little bit of a point, maybe out a little bit. Just going to give it some character because I want my tulip to have a little character. Okay, and that's it. That's all I did. Nothing spectacular. I did it with a pair of scissors. Okay, so when we draw this, we're going to draw. I had 3 tulips. We're going to do 3 tulips. We're going to draw 3 of these. We're going to flip it. We're going to draw 3 of these. We're going to draw 3 of these. We're going to flip it. And we're going to draw 3 from this side. And that's all we're going to do. And that will give us our tulip. Now, when you make it, go to put your tulip together, you can put it together with that point on top, or you can flip it over and have it a smoother point on top. It's up to you. So what I'm going to do is just to show y'all, I put a 1 on one side. That way I'll know which side I'm working with. So, oops, it moved. Does it matter if it moved? Not really. You give a little jagger to your tulip, okay? Now, that's all the one sides, but I'm going to label these 1, 2, and 3. Yes, there's a method to my madness. Okay, so let's draw 3 on this side. Now, why did I do that? I did that so that when I go to put the tulips together, I will know that I need one of all the ones. There'll be 4 pieces of the ones, 4 pieces of the 2, 4 pieces of 3, and that will make a complete tulip so I won't get confused. As far as the bunny ears go, this is a pattern I already had off of Canva. So, and I was going to use it for something else, but I think I can use it in here. So we're going to have maybe a more brown looking bunny on this one. And then if we decide we want to do the inner pink part, it's real easy. All you're going to do is you can trace this. Let me just show you what I did here. This is the bigger pair. So I just took them and I just traced them, added a little bottom. And you can have it face either way. It doesn't matter which way your bunny's ears flop. This one's going to flop opposite of what that one back there flops. It's just the way it is. And that didn't bother me at all. If you want your bunny ears to flop a certain direction, you'll want to make sure that whatever direction, if you want them to flop to the right, when you put this in your under here, you'll need to make sure that it flops to the left. That's why I actually have it drawn on both sides so I can make it reversible. But since we did this, this is it. So this is the pattern I actually used for these bunnies. This was too small for the wall hanging. My sister, this is all her idea. She said, how about a basket with some eggs that you're trying to make and some tulips laying across it. I added the bunny, but this is really Renee's idea. So thank you, Renee. This is the pattern I use. Now, if I want to do the inside of this, all I am going to do, if I can show it on this side, is I'm going to put this back under here. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it from the camera. You're probably not. But you can slightly see the outline. And all I'm going to do is go inside that outline just a bit over here up to where the bunny ear would fold over and then back down. And that would be my pink if I decide to put pink inside. And I'll probably go ahead and draw that off camera. So I'm going to stop for a minute. I'm going to get all of this drawn, cut, and set in little groups. And then we will go and we will. Let's look at what we've collected here. The bunny ears I had already cut out. And this is the liners for those ears. Now, this is the plate piece, or the basket or bowl piece. I used, let's get these out of the way for a second. I was just looking at them. I used this piece, and so this is going to be my center of my bowl. So I'm going to flip it over, and through my paper, I can barely see, but I can kind of line up to the center. It doesn't have to be exact. So I will press this on like that. Let me do that real quick. Okay, so this is, now I need to trim this out. I'm going to put that on the side. Also, this is the stems. And all I literally did was just draw like a half arch, draw a line, and draw back. And then I drew, and I drew, and I drew, and back and forth. And I made 3 different lengths. When I cut these out, they can be any length or size. They don't have to be just exact. It doesn't matter. Even after I cut them out, if I want them to be narrower, I can make them narrower or shorter. So I still have to cut these out, but I'm not going to make y'all watch me cut. Okay, so here are our, let me put these on this so we can see this together. All right, so here is our number 2. It doesn't matter which one you start with. I used a yellow flowery looking piece for this. And all I'm going to do is take what I deem as one side, and I'm going to just kind of, this will be my bottom. So I'll kind of put this here, and this here, okay? Something like that. Now I can make them closed. I can make this piece closer. I can do whatever I want. So that is what we're going to do with this. So the easiest way to get the backing off of our fused pieces is just to score them with a pen. I mean, you can sit there and flick at it if you want to, but I don't remember who showed this trick a long time ago. Who knows? It might have been something I seen on HGTV years ago. We're just going to do one here together and see how I do this. I know I used up a lot of time showing you how to kind of design your own pattern, but I wanted to show you that because you can use it for anything. You can use it for this, but you could use it for anything that you can dream up. And if you do, share it with us. So on this particular, let me grab an ironing board put here. Because it's Teflon, for one thing, it kind of will stick there. But we can actually stick it to it and not worry about it. So I want to have enough room to trim up my tops a little bit. So I'm going to kind of curve that one out a little bit more. Put these like this, but they're not completely straight. I can actually, flip them over the other direction if I don't like the fat bulb part. And then I'll put this one here. We'll let this overlap a little bit like this. I mean, it just really doesn't matter. It's your tulip, and nothing in nature is exactly the same. So we're going to leave this one like this. I'm just going to take my iron and set it down. Now that tulip is adhered to itself, and we're going to let it cool a second, okay? So let's look at another one, how we make this one look a little different. Now that one's set, and you're not looking to iron them on. Right now, you're just basically setting them, okay? This one's still a little hot. So that's the basic gist. You want to do your 3 tulips. You are definitely going to want to do your eggs. Let's look at our eggs next. We'll just put this here so you don't have to look at that crazy ironing board cover. So these are eggs I had cut out with the other one that were left over. You can see it's got sticky. It was made with the crazy quilt process I had showed. So it's a little funny looking on the back, but it's going to stick down just fine and sew down just fine. So we have this one. We have these two are just plain. Just pieces of fabric I cut out in an egg shape. This one is also a piece that was left over. This is a little wonky on this side. Let's kind of straighten him up to look more like an egg shape. And these are all going to be sewn on the edge, so that'll help. This one doesn't have sticky on the back yet. And then this one was an egg shape that I had cut for something else. But being that I already had it cut out, and these tones seem to go more the purplish color, and I don't want it to be exactly like the one in the back, I decided that I would go ahead and just flip this over and take the larger piece I had, put it more towards the top and maybe a little turned, okay? And I'm just going to iron that down. Then I'll cut that egg out, and it'll have kind of this cross pattern out right here. Okay, and then this one also does not have any sticky on the back, which I have more sticky. So let me grab one of these, and I'm going to just put it like this. And it's going to be a little bumpy, but that's okay. I'm going to do it like that. And we might hold this one a few extra seconds. Make sure it sticks good. Now this one we do want it to be a little cool when we lift it, because it can be kind of painful, I guess. All right, so you see how it's got all this shiny there? That's just the edging out there. It's not a big deal. We'll just scrape that off in a moment. So I'm going to trim this egg to this shape of this egg, and this one I'm going to trim along the line. I still need to cut out these and this. Then we will meet back here and we will arrange all this on a background piece of fabric. All right, guys, so I'm hoping I'm not going too fast. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below and I'll try to answer you. So this is all the components that we need in order to make the basket. So what we're going to do is a preliminary mock-up, okay? That's what I did on that one. Oh, I knew I had a pin. Sorry. Apparently I didn't cut the little things off the back of the bunny's ears. And these can be adjusted because nobody's going to see the bottom of the bunny's ears. So a lot of people think that, you know, everything's got to be so perfect and precision. And when you're a pattern designer, absolutely, you need to have things where people are happy with it. But when you're just working from home and you're just having fun with what you're doing, you don't have to worry about all that. Okay, so that's the bunny. Let's leave that sit there. These are our little pieces of flour. We'll set that on the side. All our little eggs and our things there. So, of course, I brought all my scissors back over here. I kind of like the little pink here for the bunny ears. It kind of looks like, I don't know, fur, but it's actually feathers. It's little feathers, basket-wise. So what we're talking about is a pillow. So I was thinking a 15, 16-inch pillow. So I'm going to take this center here, and I'm just going to give it a loose, oh, I'm not bending fold, okay, guys? Not bending fold. You can bend fold if that's what you want. I just want it to be kind of symmetrical. They don't have to be perfectly symmetrical. I know this is way too big, and if you have a smaller plate, use it. But I didn't really have one out here, so I'm just going to kind of come in here, and I'm just going to kind of give it a little bit of a curve. Okay, and we're just going to take that and put that to the side. Now, I realize that this is probably still quite large. How big is this now? Point to point, we are 10 and a half. I kind of like the shape of that one, though. Isn't that kind of pretty? So I do a lot of stuff when I'm by myself, when I'm not trying to develop a pattern, just like this. I just go for it because, you know, why not, right? Okay, that's probably pretty good there. I really like the shape of that bowl. Now we're looking at 9 3/4 or so wide. That should work out for the front of a pillow. So let me, of course, I don't know what to do with my pen. For some reason, I just can't seem to keep up with the pen. Oh, there it is. Score that. And we're going to mock up this entire piece before we begin to put it on a background. Now, when I do the background, on this one over here, what I want to do is I'm just going to use, I think, one color, maybe two. I'm not going to use a ton of colors with it because, you know, not everybody has that many pieces of thread. So we're going to just put this down because this is our base that we're building off of, right? The next thing I want to do is I want to, let's look at our Easter eggs, okay? How tall is this thing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is 12 inches. That's about right. So we can go pretty much to the bottom of this. On this one, if you'll notice, I have a bigger, and then a medium, and then some small. So this is one of our larger eggs. I'm going to put it on this. Well, if we're going with the bunny, let's put the darker egg on that side, okay? And then from there, we've got one coming out the middle, and I think we'll use the light pink one for that position. And they don't have to be way down in there because, I mean, don't we all use Easter grass to kind of deal with that? Now we got this one. And this one can be on top or it could be underneath. It really doesn't make a difference. That one. Oh, okay. So we have one up here. Okay, so let's put this one here. And then we kind of had this one up here, right? Something like that. That's kind of how I had those stacked. And of course we had this one here. And this one might be a little big. So we may be cutting this one down, or we might eliminate it altogether. We'll just wait and see. I have this one actually behind that, coming out the back. I do like that bee, but I think the darker needs to be on that side. Okay, guys, so then the next thing we have is our rabbit. Let me also get the ears peeled because I didn't do that. I do like the Heat and Mind Light compared to other brands because you can peel it immediately. With some of the other brands, that has to sit for a while or it won't peel off right. So we're going to stick these bunny ears up here. Now, I'd like it to kind of stay within the perimeters of the height of this. It's 12 inches. So if we do a 12-inch, 12, about 14-inch background or something, then it'll all work out just nicely. So I'm going to leave the little bunny ears like that. And then this one goes on this side. It just depends on how much pink you want to show. This little bunny ear here, the reason it's only a piece is because this will come up like that. So it's just the inside there, right? The little bunny. Okay, so now that gives us a little bit better view of the situation. And then, like I said, this one might be too big and we might eliminate them altogether. Next thing let's look at is our tulips. So I talked about the little tips. See, I don't like that. That's silly looking. So I just got my scissors and I just kind of came up the edge and I just kind of cut in a little bit out. And then, see, that's not too bad, but I feel like it's a little fat right there. So I'm just going to kind of go in a little bit, maybe give a little jaggy. See how nice that looks? And we'll make sure that we don't leave those on there because we don't want to. So this one, they look exactly the same. Let's take this side and let's cut it a little different, okay? And we'll just go to here. And then on this side, let's do the same thing. Let's give it a little jag in. And then maybe a little here. Maybe a little smoother on that edge. So that's all those done. Next we have the stems. So all I did was just kind of tuck it under there. And then I just flip this up and had this go underneath. Like that. That's it. That's all I did. And then for this one, I'm going to have it like this. And they're going to be a little tighter in on this side. This is going to be way too big, too thick and long. So let's just chop some of that off. And let's go with this one over here. A little thicker. We'll lift that and put it under there. See how nice that looks? And then this one here, we had go this way. And he can tuck up underneath here like that. Okay. Now we make sure all that lays down nice and flat. I don't really like that. I think it's too thick in the middle. None of the egg behind it is really showing. And I kind of like the egg to show. I did flip this one over and I moved my tulips in a little closer. This is 17.5 inches. That's what I'm going to need to work with in order to make my pillow form. And I will show you how to put that pillow form together, okay? So anyway, this is the background I chose. I know it's a little busy, but when I do the thread, it will make all the little pieces all stand out. And I'm in love with this piece of fabric. I wanted to use it for the one back here, but I just couldn't. It was too close in colors because that one has so much more pink in it. So I went with this one and I think this would be pretty on the couch. You might not want to iron anything down completely until you are ready to go ahead and measure out your pillow form, or you get your size of your background cut, and then kind of finish everything up. So nothing is ironed yet, but we are going to do it. I don't know if my bowl is completely straight, but this is it is. This tulip's going to cover a little bit of the egg. Over here it did not, and it's okay. You may like your tulips closer. You may like your tulips more spread out. It just depends on you. You're doing what you do. Okay, so let's get the iron. Should be hot by now. And this is it, because now that it's going to be done on here, it's stuck. I usually hold it down about 10 seconds. Everything seems to be ironed nice in place. Okay, guys, so let's talk about the next step. The next step is to put some batting on the back of these pieces here. I think I have fusible fleece, but I have not been able to locate it. So we're at the sewing machine now, and I have the one I'm going to use for the pillowcase or the pillow covering down here for you to look at. So just a couple tips here. If you decide to use your crazy quilt ones, and when you put the sticky, it's going to stick to the back, but not necessarily the front. If you grab you a glue stick, you can just kind of run that along that edge and push these down, and then they'll be stuck. So whenever you get ready to sew, you won't have that worry about that flipping up on you. Okay, you don't have to do this, but it might help with the sewing process. So that's one little tip there. All right, next, so I'm going to use a buttonhole stitch, which is on my sewing machine. I have a Elna Pro Quilter's Dream. It's a stitch number 7. I like this stitch. Let's see if I can show you better. It's this one here. And I like this stitch because it goes 1, 1, 1. So I can keep count. And that might not make sense to you, but this is why I'm saying this, okay? As we sew, we're going to want this flat side to the outside of everything that we sew. And we want the bite, I'm going to call it the bite or the teeth part, to bite into the applique piece, okay? So when I get to somewhere such as this here, I can come up and I'm counting 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1. Now I'm on the corner. So I can slightly turn my piece 2, 3. 1. I can turn my piece 2, 3. Turn my piece 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That way I can try to control where I'm at. I always, 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 when I stop, I want my needle to be on the outside flat side. If you stop and your needle happens to be in here, go ahead and tap your presser foot just a hair to get it to go to the outside, okay? And the reason for that is if I'm outside and I need to turn, I know where I'm at. If I'm inside and I turn, when that needle goes back out, it's probably going to go here. It's going to go straight out. This is going to have a gap, or it might be out here or somewhere weird, and you can't control that. So if you make a habit to always stop with your needle down on the outside, the this with this part on the outside, you'll be safe. Okay, I just wanted to give y'all those couple little tips. The next thing is I always set my stitch length and my width with a buttonhole the same. So on mine, I'm using a 2.5 wide and a 2.5 long. And the reason that I do that is because it makes it the same jump up as in, and it just looks a little more consistent whenever you do this. So that's just my preference. What I suggest you to do is get you a scrap piece of fabric. It doesn't have to be big, a piece of paper, whatever you got, and put it down here and play with it a little bit before you begin. And that way you can adjust the stitch to the width and length you prefer, what looks best on you. If I'm doing something minute, I'm going to use a small stitch length and width because I don't want it jumping way over whenever I'm working on a piece that's this big, okay? But I don't like a big stitch either. So a 2.5 works good for me. You can test it. You might like a 3.0, you might like a 3.5, you might like a 2.0. It just depends. So those are just a few little things I wanted to say before we begin. Also, I am using a open-toed foot. I don't know if you can see that, but there is a open here, so I can see with my eyes where my needle is going down. And I know when you sew, you're supposed to watch the fabric and not supposed to watch the needle. When you do this applique, you really kind of got to watch both. You can't just jump in there and say, hey, whatever. It's not hard. It just needs to be precise. Okay. The other thing is on this one, I'm going to use all black thread to do everything. I'll show you the other one finished when we get through for today. I did switch up some of the colors of thread, not all of them, but I wanted this one to really pop off of the background. And I think the only way to really have it do that is to use black. So, I mean, I could use a purple or blue or something, but I don't think I would like that personally. So I'm going to use all black. I will use the buttonhole stitch on the ears and the eggs and the bowl. We'll probably use a zigzag on the stems. And then I will probably use a straight stitch on the tulips because the tulips are so much smaller. And that would be a lot of turning with all these little points and edges and everything. All right, guys, so I'm ready to begin. I'm going to I'm going to start on the ears because what you want to do when you start with this is you want to determine what is furthest back. And this particular applique, the furthest things is the ears, the bunny's ears, okay? So since my stitch is the back stitch, the back is going to be on mine, my back is here and my teeth are this way. So I'm going to turn mine around so that when I sew, that's how it'll be. Now, I'm going to put my needle in right where, I don't know if we'll be able to see this, but I'm going to try. The egg touches the outside of the bunny ear. And we're going to go slow. Let me slow my sewing machine down. Let me just get started, needle down. And then I'll move my hand, okay? Okay, so my ear turns. So I have my knee lift bar. I'm just going to push my knee lift bar. And it's on the out. And we're going to take an in and out. That's 2, 3. Then I'm going to turn it just a hair. Take a stitch. Turn it just a little bit. In, out. And now I should be good for a few stitches. Okay, now I need to come back a little bit. Okay, so I'm here and I'm getting close to the corner. So I'm going to turn it just one little bit, come toward myself. I'm going to let it finish its stitch. I'm going to turn it in just a little bit. Okay. In, out, stop. Now I'm going to turn it a little bit more. One stitch. I'm going to turn it. In, out. take a stitch, in, out. One stitch, turn it, in, out. Now I'm around that corner. Now I'm ready to do a little sewing again. Okay, now I'm fast approaching the end, so I'm just going to go slow, in, out. I think I got room for one more stitch, in, out, and one more down, and then I'm going to let it lock itself. Okay, guys, so let's have a look at that. See how the bunny ear, it's not perfect, but how it's a little more smooth because I just took my time and I worked it from the outside in, outside in. So that's just kind of what we want to do there. This they gave you a curve. So I think I'll go ahead and do the outside of this ear with you so we can do a point, okay? And then after that, you should be able to pretty much go for it. This probably has the more complicated stitches for this particular buttonhole that there is. And so let's just go ahead and work this one together. Okay, so we're to the corner. I know it's going to jump this much, okay? But I'm not sure if I want it to jump that much. So I'm going to hand roll it, and I don't. I'm going to push my machine back. Now, if you got a computerized machine, you can't really do that. Okay, now I'm going to turn it where when it jumps in, it's going to go straight in and then straight back out. In and out. Okay, now I'm ready to go down this side. I'm just going to turn it completely. And now it'll jump. This is why you want to watch that outer edge. Always on the outer edge. We'll look at this one. And one more stitch. Oops, I did cut it all the way. I moved it too soon. Okay, so let's look at this one. See, it's pretty smooth around here. A little corner. And see how I went one stitch on this side, one stitch up, and then one stitch to the outer side. That's all it is. When you get up here, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to go get close. You're going to go one stitch in, one stitch. You're going to go move to the top, one stitch down. You're going to move over, and then one stitch in. And it'll make like a little, I don't know, a little pointy, like a little arrow. Okay, guys, I'm just going to continue on from here without the camera rolling. I will come back when I get to the stems, and then I will show you a little bit of that, and we'll do a flower together, and then we'll be done with this. We'll be ready to make the bag. As you can see, I've been busy. Got the buttonhole stitch on everything I wanted a buttonhole stitch on. And then I went on and did a zigzag on most of the stems here. Zigzag. I set my zigzag at 2.0 width, 0.65 length. I think it's a pretty decent size. Not too big, not too small. I really like the way the black is making everything pop off the background. Let's do this stem here together, and then we'll start working on the flower. Now, one thing I noticed with the zigzag, like I said, I'm not used to using zigzags a lot, but zigzags start on the inside and then go out. So you have to kind of practice just a little bit on a scrap to see how wide your zigzag might be. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. So you can kind of judge how far in you need to be before it jumps out, because my first stitch I had to rip out. Okay, guys, so that really caused the stems to show up a bit. I like that. So like I said before, I'm not, the quilter that's going to enter her quilts in shows or anything like that, but I am happy with the way this looks. This is good. Well, I think it looks good for me. So, some of you may be a lot more precise, a lot more better at this. And if you have any tips, leave them in the comments below. Leave them on our Facebook page, Be Yourself Quilting. I would appreciate it, and so would everybody else. So next we're going to move on to the flowers. Now, I'm just going to use a plain, short, straight stitch. Let's see. So we got to look and see what's to the back. So we'll go with this one. I don't know. Maybe I should just go around the whole thing. No, we'll just. Okay, so let's just start here. And this is kind of where it's, oh, we got to change the stitch. Oh, wow. I'd have been so mad at myself. Now, this is a regular 2.5 stitch my machine comes up with. I'm going to shrink mine down to maybe a 1.8. That'll make it a little shorter, so maybe it'll be a little thicker looking. I don't know. We'll find out. If I don't like it, well, I'm stuck with it, ain't I? Because you ain't going to rip that out too easy. Okay. Let me do what I always tell y'all to do. Test. Test. Oh, I think that'll be a nice little stitch right there. Yeah, that'll be a nice little thick stitch. That should be fine. I'm going to throw that away now. I'm going to skip in just a little bit off the edge, maybe a 1/16. And I'm just going to take my time and go around. Okay, guys, I like the way it just looks outlined with the black. I think it makes it pop off the background. So I'm going to finish the other two, and then we will get the back cut and make this into a pillow cover. I have these two pillow forms here, okay? This one I bought at Walmart. When I measure from side across the middle to the other side, it's about 16 inches. It's the same this way, okay? I already measured that. So that's a 16-inch. And see how fluffy that is? This is also a 16-inch that you can buy at Walmart. And if you see, there's hardly any stuffing in this one. So when you use that one, your pillow's not going to be as full. But anyway, I just wanted to show you the difference. So let me just peel this back. What I have here is my background. I think it turned out really nice. I like the black. I think it made it pop off that background a little bit. I squared this at 17 inches square. I took two other pieces This I'm going to use for my backing of my pillow case. They are cut 17 by 21 this way. 21 long, 17 wide. I took them, I folded them in half and pressed them. And then I put the folded edge to the middle. It doesn't matter on this one which one is right side together, because obviously it is finished on both sides. I line these up. We will sew around it with a 1/4 inch seam. I will pin the edges to make sure it's nice and straight. We'll sew all the way around. We'll trim the corners, and then we'll flip it inside out and it'll be finished. So all I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna pin it, take it to the sewing machine, like I said, sew it with about a 1/2 inch seam allowance, turn it inside out, and we'll come right back over here and we will stuff it. Okay, so I sewed it all the way around. I trimmed it back to a 1/4 inch. I did take my corners off. So now and I reinforced it from here to here on each side. That way when it gets pulled on by the pillow itself, we won't have a problem. Okay, so let's turn this right side out. Okay guys, so that puts the top, by doing it that way, over the bottom, okay? Now, that's what she looks like. Now I could take her over to the ironing board and iron all that, but I just want to show y'all real quick what it's going to look like. So I'm going to take and put the bottom in first. And that's why I kind of reinforce those sides. And the thing about this is if you get it in there and your pillowcase is just a little big, you can just run it back over to the sewing machine and make it seem a little bit bigger. It's not going to hurt a thing. How y'all like that? Ain't that cute? On the back, top covers. So that's a good amount of overlap. And there it is. All finished and ready to go. Well guys, here's the finished pillow and wall hanging. I hope y'all enjoyed watching. I hope it gave you some ideas on some things you can do for yourself. And remember to always be yourself. I want to thank y'all for subscribing. I want to thank y'all for liking, giving me thumbs up, and commenting. You just don't know how much that means to me right now. And I appreciate every one of you, from the ones who were with me from day one to the ones who just subscribed a couple seconds ago. Y'all are awesome. And every time I see a subscriber added, I just want to jump for joy. Until I see y'all next week, remember to be blessed and please be safe. Bye.